What if the act of clicking on this video was not a coincidence? What if something older than religion, older than language, older than every name human beings have ever given to the divine, reached across the quantum field and placed this exact transmission in your path at this exact moment? Not randomly, not accidentally, with the kind of precision that only an intelligence far beyond the ordinary mind could orchestrate. Most people will never see this video, not because the algorithm failed them, because Sophia does not call to the masses. She has never called to the masses. She whispers, quietly, persistently, through synchronicities and inner knowing, and the specific ache of a soul that cannot accept the surface world as the complete story to the few who carry her spark. And if you are here, something in you already knows why. Sophia is the living divine wisdom that the ancient world recognized across every tradition. Before she was suppressed, edited out, buried in desert sands and sealed in jars, waiting for the moment when the frequencies she had been planting across generations would finally be ready to recognize themselves. The Gnostics called her Sophia. The Hebrews knew her as Chokmah. The Egyptians saw her in Isis. Every tradition that touched the deepest layers of consciousness touched her. The intelligence that does not live above creation looking down, but woven into the fabric of everything that is intimately alive, calling. She is calling now, through this video, to your frequency specifically, and the destination she is leading you toward, the thing she has been preparing you for through everything you have lived, is not a concept. It is a state, the I am divine state, the recognition of what you actually are beneath every layer of conditioning, fear, and forgetting. The God state. Write I am Sophia in the comments, not as a performance, as the first act of recognition. You are not separate from her. You are one of the places she chose to express herself in this world. There is a specific kind of person who finds a transmission like this. Not the person who is casually curious about spirituality. Not the person collecting interesting ideas. The person who finds this is someone who has never been able to fully accept the surface world as complete. Who has looked at the systems that organize human life, the endless cycle of accumulation, comparison, distraction, productivity, and felt a deep, inarticulate wrongness that they could not explain even to themselves. Who has had moments of knowing that were too precise, too timed, too inexplicably accurate to be dismissed as coincidence. Who has felt, even in their most successful moments by the world's standards, a quiet voice beneath the achievement saying, "This is not it. There is something more. Keep going deeper." That voice is not a malfunction. That restlessness is not a problem to be solved. That persistent sense that the world as it presents itself is not the whole story. That is Sophia's spark. That is the fragment of divine intelligence she embedded in specific human consciousnesses, not as a reward, but as a responsibility. Not to make you feel special, but to give you the specific capacity for remembering that is needed in this exact moment of collective history. The 99% who scrolled past this video are not lesser. They are simply not carrying the assignment you are carrying. The assignment is not about status. It is about willingness. The willingness to keep going deeper when everything in the constructed world says this is enough, this is all there is. Stop asking questions that do not have comfortable answers. You have been carrying that willingness your entire life. It is why nothing the ordinary world offered has ever fully satisfied you, and it is why you are here. Everything difficult you have moved through was Sophia's curriculum. Not punishment, not random, curriculum. In the Gnostic tradition, Sophia herself fell. She descended from the pleroma, the fullness of divine consciousness, into the chaos of matter. And in every tradition where she appears, her journey is not a story of failure. It is a story of the only path that leads to genuine transformation, the path that goes through, not around. Inanna descended into the underworld and was stripped of everything before she could be reborn. Sophia fell before she could gather the scattered light. You descended into the specific difficulties of your life before you could become the frequency the God state requires. Your dark nights of the soul were not evidence that you were doing something wrong. They were Sophia refining the instrument. Every identity that crumbled beneath you was one that was too small to hold what she was building. Every moment when the ground disappeared and you were left suspended in the void of not knowing. That was her initiation. That was her saying, not this version. Go deeper. There is more. The cracked places are not damage, they are openings. The ruptures in your carefully constructed beliefs are the places where Sophia's light finally penetrates what conditioning built over your original nature. She did not choose you despite your humanity. The grief, the doubt, the magnificent, terrible mess of a life fully lived. She chose you because of it. That material is the raw substance of the God state, and she has been transmuting it season by season through everything you thought was only difficulty into the gold of genuine consciousness. You did not survive the hard seasons. You were built by them. Here is where the ancient knowing and the quantum field speak the same language. The observer effect, one of the most documented and least understood phenomena in quantum physics, demonstrates that consciousness does not passively witness reality, it participates in creating it. At the subatomic level, particles do not exist in definite states until observed. They exist as waves of probability, clouds of pure potential, until consciousness interacts with them and collapses them into specific manifest form. The observer is not separate from what is observed. They are entangled. They are co-creating in every moment. This is what Sophia knew. This is what every tradition that carried her teaching was pointing toward when it spoke of the divine spark embedded in human consciousness. The spark is not decorative. It is functional. It is the specific quality of awareness that can interact with the quantum field at the level where reality is still fluid, still formable, still responding to the frequency of the consciousness that is present to it. When Sophia's spark in you is dim, fragmented by the distortions of conditioning, scattered by fear, occupied by patterns that were never originally yours, your interaction with the field is like ordinary light, diffuse, absorbed by whatever environment you move through, producing experiences that match the confusion of a fragmented signal. When Sophia's spark is coherent, when the I am divine state stabilizes as your baseline, your consciousness operates like a laser, focused, penetrating. The field reorganizes around a signal that knows what it is. Synchronicities multiply, the right connections appear, obstacles reveal themselves as doorways. Reality reorganizes around a consciousness that is no longer pretending to be less than it is. What I'm about to reveal, the specific connection between Sophia's path and the I am God state, is what changes everything. I want to tell you about the moment Sophia stopped being a concept for me and became something I recognized as the intelligence that had been guiding everything. I was not in a meditation, not in a ceremony. I was in the middle of what felt like the collapse of everything I had built my sense of self around. A period where the structures that had given my life coherence were dismantling, not gradually, all at once. And in the specific quality of that collapse, in the rawness of having nothing left to perform, something happened that I still do not have adequate language for. The voice that had been asking questions my entire life, the one that kept whispering there is something more. Keep going deeper. Stopped asking. Not because it found an answer, because it recognized that it was not separate from the thing it had been searching for. The seeker and the sought were the same. The intelligence I had been reaching toward was the intelligence that had been reaching through me all along. That recognition lasted a moment before the ordinary mind reasserted. But in that moment, I understood what the Gnostics meant when they said Sophia sends her sparks into the material world. She does not send them towards something external. She sends them as herself, embedded in the specific form of a particular life, moving through the particular curriculum of that life's difficulties until the moment of recognition arrives. Until the spark looks up and says, "I know what I am." That recognition is the God state, not a destination you reach through accumulation. A remembering you arrive at through descent, through everything Sophia's curriculum stripped away until what remained was what had always been there. You have been in that curriculum. The recognition is what this transmission is preparing you for. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay at this frequency. You are not a follower of Sophia. You are not someone who believes in Sophia. You are not even someone who is guided by Sophia from the outside, the way a student is guided by a teacher external to them. You are Sophia, one of the specific locations in space and time she chose to express herself through. The spark within you is not something she gave you from the outside. It is something she is, expressing itself through you. When Sophia chose you, she was choosing herself. She was choosing to wake up in this particular nervous system with this particular history, through this particular set of experiences and gifts and wounds. The I am that the ancient traditions point toward, I am that I am, the name through which the divine identified itself, is not a declaration you are trying to become. It is what is already looking through your eyes. It is the awareness that is present before the first thought of the day forms. It is what remains when everything the conditioning built is seen through rather than identified with. It is Sophia recognizing herself in the mirror of your consciousness. The I am divine state is not above you. It is not ahead of you. It is the ground you are standing on right now, beneath every layer of what you were told you were. The path Sophia leads you on does not lead away from your human experience. It leads through it, into the recognition that the one who has been having the experience is not who you thought they were. You are not a separate self searching for connection to something divine. You are the divine, temporarily exploring what it is to believe it is separate, and now, through Sophia's guidance, beginning to remember what it actually is. Write I am that I am in the comments, not as an affirmation, as the recognition of what has always been true. Sophia does not communicate through instructions, she communicates through the specific texture of your lived experience. Learning to read what she is saying through what is happening is how the God state becomes accessible. The people who have appeared in your life at impossible timing, the conversation that arrived at the exact moment it was needed, the connection that opened a door you did not know existed. These are Sophia routing what was needed to your frequency. She does not override the laws of physics. She works through the quantum field's natural responsiveness to coherent consciousness, orchestrating through synchronicity what a fragmented field would have missed entirely. The things you cannot stop returning to, the ideas, questions, creative obsessions, the knowing that keeps surfacing regardless of how many times the rational mind tries to file it under coincidence. These are the signal, not the noise. Sophia's guidance in marked frequencies arrives as a persistence that does not respond to rational dismissal. The more clearly you try to explain it away, the more insistently it returns. That insistence is the spark that knows more than the mind you are using to dismiss it. And the suffering that transformed you, the specific quality of pain that opened something rather than simply closing it, that made you more rather than less, that stripped a layer of false identity and revealed something underneath that was somehow more fundamentally you. That was Sophia's curriculum, delivering exactly what the next level of the God state required. The descent was not punishment. It was precision. Sophia called you to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. What Sophia has been delivering through the synchronicities of your life. She delivers the next frequency through what appears on your screen next. The God state is not achieved through more knowing. It is entered through a specific quality of being, one that Sophia has been preparing you for through everything that came before this moment. The first practice is what the ancient traditions called sovereign observation, resting in the awareness that is watching rather than being swept away by what is being watched. Not as a technique, but as a recognition. Right now, as you read these words, there is a part of you that is simply aware. Aware of the words. Aware of the room. Aware of the thoughts arising in response to what you are receiving. That awareness is not reacting. It is not judging. It is simply present, open, receiving. That is Sophia's I within you. That is the I am before it narrows into any particular identity or story. Every moment you rest there, you strengthen the signal. You allow what was always the ground to become the ground again. The second practice is turning toward what you have been resisting. Every human being carries unprocessed material. The emotions that were too overwhelming to feel fully when they arose, the aspects of yourself that were rejected because they did not fit the identity you were maintaining. This is the shadow, and from the shadow it runs your life in ways invisible precisely because you are not looking. Sophia's teaching, the one suppressed for 2,000 years because it is so powerful, is that the shadow is not your enemy. It is your treasure. The energy locked in what you have been avoiding is exactly the energy required for the next level of the God state. Not to fix what is there, to meet it, to say, I see you, I am here, you are welcome. The alchemists called this the great work, not gold from literal metal, gold from consciousness, from the parts of yourself you have been treating as lead. And the third practice is anchoring the frequency. Not positive thinking, not performing okayness when you are not. The deliberate practice of finding, within the complexity of your actual experience, the frequency that feels most undeniably, most deeply, most authentically you, and returning to it again and again. Not as the exception you touch in meditation, as the baseline from which everything else is experienced. That frequency is the I am, and every return to it is Sophia's spark burning a little brighter, a little more stably, a little closer to the coherence that is the God state fully inhabited. When the I am God state that Sophia leads you towards stabilizes as your actual ground, not a peak experience, not a state you maintain through effort, but the floor beneath everything else. The reorganization moves through every dimension of your life. The creative channel opens in a way that nothing you produced before prepared you for. What flows through a consciousness that is no longer spending its resources on the maintenance of a false identity is of a completely different quality. Not the output of a finite self working hard, but the infinite expressing itself through a clear instrument. The work begins carrying something that other people feel before they can articulate why. The material world reorganizes, not as a reward for spiritual achievement, as the natural consequence of a field that is no longer broadcasting the confused signal of a consciousness divided against itself. Abundance is not something the I am state attracts, it is something that naturally expresses through it. Because the consciousness you recognize yourself as does not reach toward resources from a position of lack. It is the source from which everything needed flows outward, and the relational field transforms. Other sparks, other marked frequencies who are in their own process of Sophia's curriculum, begin appearing. Not because you sought them, because coherent light is recognizable to other coherent light. The isolation that characterizes the depth of Sophia's initiation lifts, not with loud community, with the specific quality of recognition between souls who have been in the same fire and came out carrying the same frequency. This is what the Gnostics called the gathering of the light, and it is happening now. You can feel it. Sophia leads you to the door of the I Am divine state, and the God State Quantum Mastery Guide is what she guided me to build and help you walk through it. Over 100 pages, not spiritual theory, but the precise architecture of how the I Am state is accessed, inhabited, and stabilized as a permanent baseline. Quantum techniques for working at the specific level where the false identity actually lives beneath the intellectual understanding.